Hi, I'm Nicole Smithy, co-founder of Iridescent Women, and throughout this video series, we'll be exploring what Jesus taught about justice. It's apparent that our world is filled with injustice, and we've all felt it. Have you ever been treated unfairly, cheated wrongfully, placed at a disadvantage for reasons beyond your control? Have you ever been excluded when you ought to have been included? Have your needs or rights been overlooked when they ought to have been tended to? We've all experienced injustice in one form or another. Not only is injustice an experience that can't be avoided, but the impact of injustice in our world today extends far beyond our personal experiences. Its reach extends to entire families, neighborhoods, cities, nations, and generations. From the children in our cities who go to bed hungry at night, to the lack of proper education certain zip codes and areas are able to provide children, to the lack of protection and rights afforded to women in certain parts of our world, to the lack of health care or clean water certain communities have access to the blatant discrimination received based on the color of one's skin. Injustice is certainly a deadly and dangerous threat that can't be ignored. And while it isn't being ignored in our society today, we are often unsure of how to fight it. Either our conversations to address injustices rapidly descend into a screaming match between opposing political sides, or we mistake posting our condolences on Instagram as an act of true advocacy, or we point fingers at those on the receiving end of injustice in an effort to rationalize why these evils exist. We pride ourselves on being informed, on being woke, on having an opinion, but is it working? Is it actually helpful in the fight against injustice? And is fighting injustice a fight worth fighting? Or should we just accept the state of the world as it is and avoid the topic altogether? Is that what Jesus did? Or does his life and ministry reveal to us a different way, one that can actually affect change? Well, throughout this video series, we'll examine more closely what Jesus taught about justice so that we might discover healing in the places of our own injustice and empowerment to care for the marginalized and hurting in our world today. You know, when we look at the ministry of Jesus found in the Gospels, it's radically clear that Jesus' mission to restore humanity always included bringing hope and well-being for people who are spiritually poor and oppressed and people who are socially poor and oppressed. It was never an either or, but a both and. Jesus showed us that to love is to be just is to love. And we see this in a number of different ways, which we will explore further in our next video. As this video draws to a close, I'll leave you with these reflection questions. What injustice have I personally experienced, and how have they shaped me? And what injustices do I see taking place in my own neighborhood or city?